Between the time before cell phones and the rise of the internet and social media, there came an age undreamed of. And unto this, HeroQuest, destined to be the greatest board game ever made. It is I, its chronicler, who alone can tell you of its saga. Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
In the world of board games, few titles capture nostalgic charm and timeless allure quite like HeroQuest. Released in the late 1980s, this fantasy board game captivated the imaginations of countless adventurers, drawing players into a universe filled with magic, monsters, and epic quests. Among the four archetypal heroes, Barbarian, Dwarf, Wizard, and Elf, the Elf stands out as a especially versatile and intriguing character. With a unique blend of magic and combat skills, the Elf offers a distinctive gameplay experience, embodying the finest elements of the HeroQuest universe. The ancient tales of HeroQuest, elves are said to originate from the forest kingdom of Lauren, a location in the old Warhammer world. Once, elven explorers were a common sight in every town, but they have become increasingly elusive in recent times. They've retreated into the forests of Lauren, fading into obscurity. Legend has it that elves are born with innate magical abilities, but they dedicate years to mastering weaponry, becoming swift and lethal warriors. However, in the recent re-release, the elves' homeland is ambiguous. It's reasonable to speculate that they come from Elithorn, but their precise location of origin, along with Elithorn itself, remains a mystery. The elf in HeroQuest epitomizes the balance between magic and combat prowess. Unlike the other heroes, the elf adeptly navigates both the physical and magical realm, making them indispensable in the quest for glory. Initially, as a kid, I was drawn more towards the Barbarian or the Dwarf. However, as I got older, I realized that the elf is undoubtedly the superior choice among the original four heroes.
What did you say?
What? What did you say?
Now, I know not everybody's going to agree with that opinion, but I'll explain why. To begin with, the elf character offers a balanced skill set that enables players to handle a variety of situations, acting as the game's only true hybrid class with both respectable offense and defense abilities. The elf can stand their ground in battle as good as any dwarf or barbarian. The ability of the elf to don heavy armor further enhances their survivability, setting them apart from the more vulnerable spellcasting heroes like the wizard and even some of the newer heroes. This makes them a dependable option for both attack and defense strategies. Such versatility is especially beneficial when dealing with unpredictable dungeon configurations and a wide array of adversaries. But what truly distinguishes the elf, and why I consider it the most formidable of the original four heroes, is in the pre-quest preparation. Before each quest, players can select one of four sets of spell cards, while the wizard takes the remaining 9. The game suggests assigning earth spells to the elf, recommendation I fully endorse. These spells include a healing spell for recovery, rock skin for additional defense, and pass through rock for strategic maneuverability. These abilities are invaluable for quick escapes or negotiating tricky situations. However, the player may choose any of the four spell sets, which opens up intriguing possibilities for character builds. This becomes especially fascinating with the incorporation of the elf spells from the Mage in the Mirror expansion, adding even more depth and variety to the elf's capabilities. This also makes the elf the only class in the game that can have a unique build for each quest, further cementing the elf's status as a powerful and versatile character. Although the elf is primarily recognized for their magical prowess, they also possess a commendable number of body points, akin to the dwarf and barbarian. This allows the elf to effectively serve as a tank within the party, soaking up damage and safeguarding other characters. This becomes particularly notable if you possess the Mage in the Mirror expansion. Similar to the Barbarian, the elf has their own expansion primarily focused on them, providing the elf with a plethora of class-specific gear. In fact, the elf is so catered to in this game that they have the most class-specific gear in the game. In order to make a better case that the elf is without a doubt the best, I'm going to go over just some of this gear.
Get ready for a power trip.
Starting with the elven chain boots from the Mage of the Mirror. These boots grant the elf the ability to roll 3 movement dice, providing the elf with the highest movement in the game without the need for spells, abilities, or potions of dexterity. However, the boots wear out if the elf rolls 2 identical numbers 3 times. The Elven Chainmail equips the elf with 2 extra defense dice and can be combined with a helmet and shield. Given that the elf begins with 2 defense already, this combination results in a total of 6 defense dice for the elf, which in HeroQuest is extremely high. On a related note, my copy of Mage of the Mirror did not include an artifact card for the Elven Chainmail. I'm unsure if it was supposed to come with one. I intended to research this, but I honestly forgot until I began creating this video. The elf is also the only hero who qualifies to wield the Ancient Staff. This staff grants the elf the power to deflect any spell cast by a monster, redirecting it back to its originator. The spellcaster and any other monsters present in the same room bear the full brunt of the spell's effects, while the elf and their allies remain unscathed. However, it's important to note that the staff's protective power can only be invoked 5 times. Also worth noting is that the staff won't provide any protection from spells not cast directly at the elf or his allies, or even when facing another hero in the arena, as it only has the ability to reflect spells cast by monsters. Nevertheless, it proves to be an invaluable asset when confronting the spellcasting bosses you'll encounter throughout the game. But the Elven Bracers are the true treasure here. Similar to the Barbarian's Amulet of the North, these braces enhance the elf's endurance and wisdom, providing them with an added 2 body points and 1 mind point. This boost placed the elf almost on equal footing with the wizard in terms of mind points, and even surpasses the dwarf and many of the other new heroes in terms of damage absorption. This means that the elf can serve as a tank as effectively, if not more so, than the other designated tanks in the game. Looking at you, knight. Add in a longsword, preferably Fortune's longsword, which allows diagonal attacks, a crossbow for some range damage, and a ring of fortitude that grants an additional body point, and it's easy to see why I believe the elf to be the best there is in HeroQuest.
I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
So I want to talk about just one more elven item. From the Mage of the Mirror expansion is a weapon known as the Elven Bow of Vindication. This bow is exclusive to the elf and can only be used in the Mage of the Mirror expansion. It comes with only 4 arrows, rendering the bow useless once all 4 have been fired. This is a fantastic weapon, but it has one fatal flaw from the perspective of the Dungeon Master. There are no limitations on which monsters this bow can be used against. Any monster targeted by the bow can only roll 1 defense die, and a black shield must be rolled, which means there's only a 1 in 6 chance to defend against it. Otherwise, the targeted monster is eliminated in a single hit. So theoretically, this could be used against the expansion's main boss, Sinestra. Going by what the card says, the elf could potentially defeat the main boss of the expansion in 1 shot, as the bow doesn't specify any restrictions on which monsters it can target. If this was a design oopsie, then, what an oopsie. Now the elf, with all this gear and just a handful of healing potions, literally transforms into an unstoppable juggernaut on the battlefield, having the power to vanquish the mightiest of adversaries, often single-handedly, without the need for their party's assistance. They cast spells and conquer foes, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Speaking from the viewpoint of someone who has repeatedly played the role of Morcar von Zargon, dealing with the elf can be quite challenging when controlled by a skilled player. With other heroes, their abilities and strategies can be somewhat predictable in each quest. However, the elf's capacity to modify their build for each quest introduces an element of unpredictability that should be regarded with caution. Just play against a well-geared elf in the arena and you'll see what I mean. The elf is one of the best in player versus player or soloing groups of foes. Like a wise man once said,
To be the man.
You've got to beat the man!
Now, a good counter-argument would be, what if you don't have the Mage of the Mirror expansion? And what about homebrew? To homebrewers, I would say my argument is based on what comes in the box. So, no homebrew stuff, and would I still consider the elf the best just using the base game, OG HeroQuest? Yes, even without the special equipment from the Mage of the Mirror, the elf can perform exceptionally well with standard gear available in the armory. It's hard to dispute that the elf is one of the most, if not the most, effective character in the game, going by what is provided in the game only without customizing the game itself. The elf simply stands head and shoulders above both the original and many of the newer heroes, excelling in every possible way and truly embodying the best of both worlds. It's difficult for me to acknowledge this, especially since my favorite character is the Barbarian. However, the elf happens to be my wife's favorite hero, and her enthusiasm for this character is one of the reasons I even created this video. The truth is undeniable. The elf is overpowered, and my wife is well aware of it. But at the end of the day, you could really argue that most of this just comes down to the luck of the roll. But in my honest opinion, the elf represents a remarkable blend of versatility, power, and adaptability that sets them apart from their fellow heroes. With a balanced skill set, an impressive range of magical abilities, and the capacity to evolve with each quest, the elf not only excels in combat, but also enhances the overall gameplay experience. The unique equipment and enhancements available through the expansions further solidify the elf's role as a formidable tank and spellcaster, and a strategic asset to any adventuring party. As players navigate the unpredictable challenges of the dungeons, the elf stands ready to meet them head-on, embodying the spirit of adventure that makes HeroQuest such a beloved classic. So ultimately, whether you're a seasoned veteran or a newcomer to the game, the elf's enchanting allure will undoubtedly draw you into their world, ensuring that your quests are filled with excitement, strategy, and unforgettable moments. And amidst the chaos of battle, deep within the dungeon's labyrinth, the elf not only stands against monstrous foes, but also embarks on a profound journey of self-realization. The elf is more than a mere character. They are a legend in the making.